Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fit Chicks Chat. My name is Amanda Quinn.
And my name's Laura Jackson.
And today's podcast, we are talking specifically about how to get started on your fitness journey as a newbie. So, someone who is just starting out, you have never worked out before, maybe you have worked out in the past and you're just kind of like getting back into it, but you're at this place where it may seem a little daunting. It may seem like you haven't necessarily, got a routine in place or anything like that, and you're just learning all of the basics. And so I want to talk about this because I think right now we are in the start of our summer fast track program for our certifications. And one of the things that really came to mind for me was that there's a lot of people that take our certifications that aren't even necessarily ready to become coaches just yet. They're doing this because they're starting on their journey and they've decided that they're like, I want to learn more. I want to dive in more. I want to really just educate myself and give myself as many tools as I can to be able to be successful on my own journey. And then once I learn it for myself, then I can help others, which I think is so powerful and so cool.
Well, and I also think it's such a wonderful way to do it because, so many times we tend to think that we have to feel 100% ready or we have to be at a certain place in our journeys or our lives to actually get started to being coaches.
Yeah.
But you actually can do both at the same time. Like you can change yourself and grow your, education and fitness, but also transforming your own fitness while you are also learning the skill set of helping other people. And then, by the end of the certification, then you can always work with other people.
Mm-hmm. Completely. And I think that we've heard so many success stories from coaches that have done just that, like graduates of our program that have said, I started this, like Doug Mary, who she's like, I started this because my family wasn't necessarily being healthy. I wasn't living healthy. I was working full time. I was eating a lot of takeaway, a lot of fast food, a lot of stuff. And she's like, I just wanted to have healthier choices and options. And then she fell in love with the process and then ended up coaching and now runs BFF Fitness with Hauser, and they have like they're generating $12,000 a month and helping hundreds of clients every month. So it's just it's so cool when you can see how it evolves. So I mean, right now you might be listening and you're like, okay, but I'm a newbie and I haven't even thought about that yet. Like I'm not there yet. And we just know, like, we know that, like, and that's totally fine. If you're not in the place of thinking about making, helping hundreds of people, but you may be in the place where you're like, I just want to educate myself and get myself ready. So that's really what today's podcast is dedicated to. It's really focused on how to get started as a newbie. So the very first thing that you want to think about when you're getting started on your own journey is figure out your starting point. Like actually sit down and think about, where are you at right now? And it's really important that you do this step because I think so many times people want to jump in, like just go all in on every single aspect. But I think it's really important to kind of take a step back and evaluate, like, okay, have I ever worked out before? Have I ever done? Because if you are really truly just new to all of this, or you haven't done this in years or months or whatever, and you're just really getting onto this track, if you just try to jump and do everything all at once, and we've talked about this multiple times on the podcast, but if you try to do everything at once and you haven't taken an evaluation of where you're at and meeting yourself where you're at to slowly, gradually build on that, you could cause injury, you could cause issues, you could cause yourself to feel overwhelmed, you could cause frustration. There's so many things that could happen if you don't just kind of evaluate and decide, okay, this is my starting point and I'm going to build from there.
Well, yeah. And I also think too, when you figure out your starting point and you're just kind of looking at your current landscape of what you're doing, you can also see what you're already doing that is contributing to your health journey or to your fitness journey, right? Like so many times we want to start a fitness routine or, we want to change our shape or we want to build muscle or get more active. But then we're already doing things that are supporting our goals, but we're just thinking we have to be doing so much more. So I think it's really important to understand, yes, where you're starting from in terms of like, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to go, and I'm going to build from that. But also looking at your starting point, where am I already active? What am I already doing that I love? What am I already, consistently, effortlessly doing in my life that I can do more of? So it's just a really great place instead of just thinking, oh, I've got to, I'm starting from 1 and I've got to go to 10.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's such a good point. So the second thing though, that you want to think about too, and this kind of ties into what you were just saying, is like, building activities into your daily habits. And the reason why it kind of ties in is because, again, it's like thinking about the things that you may already be doing. Maybe you're already parking really far on the parking lot and walking. Maybe you're going through one of the tricks that I do whenever I go grocery shopping, even though you're supposed to only shop the perimeter, I go through every aisle. So I get like extra steps in. I don't usually buy many things. Sometimes I don't
You're
do
like,
that
I'm
if
just
I'm
looking
hungry.
at the jars
Yeah.
of pickles.
No, I genuinely walk up and down and I'm always so curious. I'm always like, oh my gosh, like what is that? And it's usually stuff that I'll never buy. I don't do it if I'm hungry though. If I'm grocery shopping hungry, I only stick to the things that are on the list. But just, doing activity and adding daily activity into your routine is one of the most effective things that you can do for your health journey. Because yes, that half an hour to an hour of your actual workout matters. But the thing that matters more is what are you doing for the other 23 hours of your day? Are you getting proper sleep? Are you getting proper nutrition? But then also, how are you moving your body outside of that? Like, are you going for walks? Are you taking the stairs? Are you doing just like all of those little things? And that's, called NEAT. So, oh my gosh, I always forget. I know what NEAT stands for. I just can't remember.
Non-exercise
Exercise,
activities, thermogenesis.
thermogenesis. It's always the thermogenesis that I always want to say something different. But that is really like one of the, I think, I know Laura, you've talked about this before too. Like that's one of the things that you feel like is such a game changer even for your own journey.
Well, I think because just overall, we're so sedentary now, like just because of the way our lives are. It's not about being lazy. It's not about, you know what I mean, not wanting to be more active, but it's just the way our lives are set up. So we wake up in the morning and we usually drive to work. Then we get to work and a lot of our jobs are sitting all day long. And then we leave work and we get back in our car and we drive home and then we sit and, watch Netflix or have dinner. Like there's not a lot of activity required for many people's jobs. So we have to intentionally choose to move, which can be, especially if it's not in the forefront of your mind, which for most people it's not until you create that habit, you just end up, realizing, wait a second, if you actually have a pedometer, you're like, I've only walked 1,000 steps a day. I know that's what happened to me when I was working in an office job. Like that was my literal commute every day. And I'm like, holy cow, I've only walked 1,000 steps, right? My goal was 10,000 steps. So
I remember that. I actually remember so clearly. I can picture us in our like townhouse when we first started like Fit Chicks, and we used to wear our pedometers, those little like ones on our waistbands. You remember like those old school ones, and we had it and we would be like, oh my gosh, I'm at 8,000 and whatever steps. And so we would just start like marching in our house, or we'd be like, we have to go for a walk. Like I still remember that because it was such a specific goal. We were so clear about it, but it was important to us, right?
but
And it
yeah,
was
we have to start to move more, period. And it's one of the things that, so many times we get frustrated with ourselves. Or, if you're a coach, you have clients coming to you that are frustrated with themselves, where it's like, I've given up on myself. I don't move at all. And they think there's this big, huge hill that they have to climb in terms of getting fit. Whereas we can start making big, big strides just by moving more every day. So just bringing it into your awareness, it's so much easier to be like, okay, I'm going to walk to get my coffee, or I'm going to walk on my lunch break if the weather is nice outside, instead of sitting at my desk. Anything you do around the house, cleaning, gardening, painting, renovations, vacuuming, like all of that stuff is activity that we just don't think about, right? And just even if we can just be a little bit more intentional about the activity that we're doing, eventually then it will become who you are. Like for me, if it's less than 30 minutes, I'll walk to the grocery store or
yeah.
I'll walk somewhere.
Yeah. No, and I actually think that that's probably why Fitbits kind of became so popular, right? And like now Apple Watches and all that kind of stuff, because that was the way to monitor all of those things that you're doing throughout your day that you're not even recognizing as movement, or recognizing how little movement you're actually doing. And I think it was such a good tool, and it still is such a good tool. If you're looking to kind of invest in sort of a tool, I think it's a really great way to keep it super mindful, just like our little lap pedometers were.
Well, yeah, because I
Our
think
little waistband pedometers.
I think it was the Fitbit, but is that because I used to have one and it buzzes when you haven't moved in a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, exactly. So does the Apple Watches and stuff. So they all have that same sort of technology built into it. Um, But yeah, I just think stuff like that is so important. If you need that, and if you're starting out on your journey, oftentimes we need some of those reminders. And it doesn't have to be, it could literally be, you can download apps, right? There are so many apps out there too that will also do very, very similar functions for you.
Well,
Um,
and you have to remember too that when you are someone, like you're becoming a different person as you're going on a fitness journey. You're going from someone who is not fit, if you're a brand newbie, to being someone who focuses on your fitness. So it's going to feel difficult to shift your brain to be thinking about it, right? Like your brain is naturally not going to want to think about it because it never has. So you do need, I always recommend having some little reminder. So, like a pedometer, or like an app to buzz, or um, even things just like on the hour, if it's possible, if you're like, okay, at 4 o'clock, I'm going to get up and take a walk around. I'm going to work standing versus sitting, you
yeah.
know, after a meal, really important too, after a meal to move, because then again, also it helps to balance blood sugar. So, that's after you eat your lunch, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's when I'm going to, finish it 10 minutes early and go for a little walk.
Mhm,
So it just starts to build more movement, which then creates a mindset of movement. That's what I always think.
mhm. No, I completely agree. So now the third thing too that we want to think about when we're starting our fitness journey is to figure out a balanced program that's going to work for you. So by a balanced program, I mean having something that is, you can have cardiovascular, but also have strength training, also have mobility movements. Um, Oftentimes, when people are starting out on their journey, they'll focus on just one specific area. They'll usually focus on, and I'm talking very stereotypical, but I'm saying majority of people generally focus on cardio is usually kind of the thing. They're like, I need to move my body. I'm going to go for a run. Like that's usually kind of like the thing that people do, right? And the thing is that when we don't have a balanced program where we're off, like where we're having cardiovascular movements, but then also strength training is one of the most important things that you can do for your body, especially as if you're someone who is aging, if you are someone who is wanting to change the shape of your body, things like that. Strength training is the thing that's going to really support that. So I think, and also for burning calories, all these things. There's so many benefits, and we've done many podcasts on strength training and the benefits of it, so you can check those out. But I just think having a balance program where you're actually doing all of the parts, where you're looking at not just strength training, not just cardiovascular, but also having mobility as well. So that mobility is really just about how your body can move and function properly. Having all of those pieces in place is what's going to really support you and have a complete program as opposed to just sort of a disjointed piece program.
Well, and I think a lot of people when they're first starting out, they get really overwhelmed with the idea of a program, because especially if they're not going to attend a program, so they don't know, you know what I mean, like what it is they should be doing. And that puts a lot of stress on trying to figure it out, which is why, as you were saying at the beginning, a lot of people end up taking our certifications to learn for themselves. How do I put together a program? How
Yeah.
do I include, like, how much cardio, how much strength should I include? How much mobility? And how do I put that together in a way that, feeds off each other? But if you aren't, taking a certification or learning about this for yourself, it's as simple as finding workouts that combine all of them. So, we were such huge lovers of DVDs for years. That was like my go-to, my man's go-to. We'd come home from work and we'd put a DVD on in our living room. We'd work out and have to alternate because we didn't have enough room to do the
And
exercises.
we only had one set of hand weights,
And we only was
remember?
at a
So
hand weight. So
we
it'd be like, okay, well,
use
whatever
them.
they're doing, I'm going to do the next thing and you're going to do this thing. And then we're going to switch. But
I
even for us, like we filmed our Shape Up with Fit Chicks, and we also have our DVDs that we don't sell anymore, but we still have them in some different programs that we offer. But they were follow along workouts that were under 30 minutes, and they included strength, cardio, and mobility. And it was just something, again, that once you're first starting out, you just need to also build up that consistency, learn the exercises, learn how to safely do them, learn your levels, right? Everyone has a different level when you're starting out. So what's your level that challenges you? And then also learning about any modifications that you need. So at first, that's why it can feel really overwhelming, because you're like, I'm supposed to be doing a push-up, but I can't do a push-up on my knees. What other options do I have? Well, then learning, okay, I can do them against the wall, or I could do a variety of different chest exercises that hit the same muscle groups, but are not, if I'm not at that level yet, or if I have an injury. So I think it's just finding something that you can commit to where you are, and I always, and everyone wants, it's funny because even coaching, right? We say this to our students all the time. Everyone wants things to be, they want to create things that are constantly fresh and brand new, like really brand new though.
Mhm.
And when someone's first starting out, I always go back to, like the 5 core basics when it comes to exercises, thinking about a push up, a squat, a deadlift, a plank, and what is my other one?
Lunges.
Lunges. So just thinking about how can I just start to do those where I'm comfortable, I feel balanced, I feel, because those ones have the biggest bang for their buck, right? You're going to get toning the most muscles, you're getting a total body workout, and you can do them anywhere. But again, if you don't know what level you're at, and you think you should be further ahead, and then you just shut down because you're like, I can't do it, or you need a modification, then starting to learn that and then just building in that consistency. So even a DVD program is amazing just to start off. That's under 30 minutes. Like everyone's got 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, whether it be a DVD, if you're going to go old school, or even just like looking at different apps or different programs, or like you said, getting the education that you desire. Like if you're really going to take this seriously and you really want to be able to completely transform your health and know how to do it for yourself, get the education, do the certification, get the tools that you need to be able to do it for yourself. And then you may be inspired to help others as well. And then the last piece that I really want to talk about, just when it comes to getting started as someone who's starting out on their fitness journey, is to listen to your body completely. So if your body is telling you this feels hard, that is okay. But if your body is telling you this hurts, this feels really bad, then listen to your body. Don't push through it. This is where I see so many people when they're starting out on their journey, they're like, oh, I pushed through it and I hurt my knee, or I've injured myself, or that was so hard. It hurt me so much that I couldn't work out for the next 5 days, or whatever it is. There's a huge difference between your body getting to a place of like, this is uncomfortable, this is challenging me, versus getting to the point where it's like, it should be hard, but it shouldn't be painful. Is kind of how I always describe it. Like it's like
Oh yeah.
it should never be at the place where it actually physically hurts. It should just be like challenging. And there's a massive difference. So understanding that, and if you don't know how to understand that, I encourage you all, like, hire a coach.
But even
Even if
then
it's
it is,
one session. It's like, but someone that you can work with and you can talk through and learn the fundamentals.
which is interesting because, I was just going to say, I recently went to a play group and with a friend of mine, my husband, her and her husband, and they both had just signed up for a personal trainer. So her daughter now just turned 2. She hasn't been working out postpartum. She was working out before that. Her fitness journey had taken a pause and she was getting back into it. So they hired this trainer. Within the first week, she was injured.
Right.
So which goes back to, yes, hire a coach, but also listen to your body. This is not a race. It is literally slow and steady. We can always go back, but once you're out of commission, you're out of commission. And she said, she's like, it was partially her fault because she knew she was pushing herself too hard, but also, she was doing things that she could do, but she wasn't ready to do yet.
Right.
So it's better to, of course, and she was working with a coach who was, she is in her 40s. He was like a 23-year-old bodybuilder. So I don't know if there was a bit of a disconnect there too. But it was just one of those things where it's very easy that you've got the motivation, you've got all of the pieces in place, you figure out your starting point, you hire a coach, but then you don't listen to your body. So especially at the very beginning, like I remember we used to call it the Fit Chick strut whenever people would take our classes and you would see them in downtown Toronto, the next day walking around and you could see like the hobbling and because their butt and their legs hurt so much because they hadn't done that many lunges before.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to feel really sore at the beginning, but sore and pain are 2 different things.
2 totally different things. And I think, just on that note too, there's another thing that I used to always teach in my classes, and I talk about this in the academy as well, is that learning the difference to not just between like the pain side, but also between is my brain wanting to give up on this exercise or is my body?
Yeah.
And this is a really important thing to pay attention to because it's and I even do this still to this day. I was actually doing push-ups yesterday in my program, like my own workout. And I was doing my push-ups And I was at like 12, and I was like, I usually do like sets of 15 of them, just in between my other exercises. And I was at 12, and I was like, I had to tell my brain to keep going, because my brain was like, this is hard, go in child's pose. And
Yeah.
my body was like, no, no, but my body can do this. Like, and I had to, I like stayed in plank for a second, and I was like contemplating with myself, literally like, go in child's pose. And then I was like, no, that's just like the easy way out right now. Just because it's hard doesn't mean I can't. And this is like another thing. And it's, if you're just starting out, it's a challenging kind of thing to get through, but it's a really important thing to pay attention to. I always say, like, you will know if your body is at the point of failure, because you literally won't be able to push back up. Like if you're in a push up, you'd be like, you actually physically can't push back up, or you'd like collapse on your stomach, like belly flop, right? But if your brain is just saying to you, this is hard, go in child's pose, or go into, or slow down, or whatever it is, try to fight that off, because that's where the magic happens. When you get to that place where you push through that, not only physically the magic, but the internal confidence, the internal feelings of like, I can do hard things and I can push through. And then you start pushing through different plateaus and different barriers. So I feel like that's just another thing of like, listen to your body, and then also like pay attention to what your body's saying from an injury side, but also pay attention to, is your body ready to take a break, or is your brain just telling you to take a break? And those are the two pieces that I really wanted to share about listening to your body.
Well, yeah. And I also think the one last thing I do want to say too is, we train women, we teach women, and, women too, we are very different than men in
Mhm.
terms of, how our hormones are throughout the month, our energy levels throughout the month, because we do have all these different hormonal changes that happen every single month, especially if you're someone who's of the age of having your period, right? And if you are postmenopausal, then there's different challenges that happen. So, your workouts might change in the intensity or what you can do all throughout the month, right? Like it might be that, and that could be also, whether again for men too, but more for women. You might feel like you could give way more at different times of the month, versus a season where your progesterone is high, where you're, more tired, you're more irritable. So it is also just understanding, and just this, we're coming back to what Amanda, what you were just saying about not just listening to your body, but about the whole idea of knowing when it is my body's actually giving up versus I'm just not feeling like it. But even during those times, your workouts can change a bit. And that's where, I always find fitness so fascinating, because I just feel like it's this really great journey of getting to know yourself, like getting to know your physical body, and also seeing where there are certain things that, you could move forward, but move like further, faster, push a little harder, but you're not. And I always find that that also then translates into other areas of your life. So I love, like, I always feel like my fitness is like, okay, how are my workouts feeling today? And that usually is indicative of something else that's going on in my life, whether it be health wise or mentally wise. And then also, what am I going to do about it?
Mhm.
So, like, don't feel though. And the reason I want to say that thing about the whole menstrual cycle and how you feel, because sometimes as a newbie, we think that we should feel like we want to work out all the time, right? We
Oh,
think that we should feel like excited because we have that initial excitement when we first want to start on the journey. And then sometimes your body is not going to feel like it. And that could be for a variety of different reasons. So it's always finding this balance between like not giving up too easy, but listening to your body, but not allowing the listening to your body to take away from going after it, if that makes sense.
totally. Well, I think, and also one of the things, and this is just like a bonus tip that I want to add for myself, is that I also have a go-to workout, and I call it my like, I call it my lazy workout. It's not really lazy, but it's like, it's my go-to workout when my body feels like, you know what, I need a bit of a break, but I still want to move. I have two different things that I do. And those two different workouts, I have either a bar workout, which again, it's not like a lazy work, because it's still work. It's just not high intensity, or it's not like heavy lifting, right? And it's just a different type of workout. So it's completely outside of sort of my regular routine, but I have these in place. I have this, and I have a spin class that I do, like a spin workout. And I have these two workouts aside so that it's like, it's low impact, it's easier on my body in that sense. It's still work, it's still gearing me towards my goals, but it's just not going to maybe push me as much, and I'm okay with that. So I actually did one of those today because my foot was really bad. Like I've had this weird foot injury stuff for months now, and I'm still trying to investigate what it is and how I can heal it. But it was really, really sore today. Like I could barely walk. So I'm like, I'm not going to do a work. I'm not going to push through that
Yeah.
pain just to get a workout done. So I'm like, I'll do a spin workout because the spinning doesn't have impact on it. So it doesn't hurt it. So it's like, that works for me in this moment. Right. But just have something, maybe it's just going for a walk, like on the days when you're just like, you know what? Even though I'm supposed to do this thing, I'm still going to move my body, but I don't want to run today. I'm just going to walk today. And
Well,
I,
and that's
yeah,
where I think it's
I
so
really encourage
important
you to have
to,
that.
yeah, and I think it's so important to keep that consistency, because
Yeah.
what happens also when we're new is when we don't keep commitments to ourselves, like we said we're going to work out, and then even if we like the reason we're breaking our commitment, like we were injured or whatever, it can really quickly suck us out of of this new flow we're in. You know what I mean? It can very
Totally.
quickly take us away from being like, oh, okay, well, fitness is not for me because it just feels like all this stuff is happening. So if you can still have, so same thing for me, like you have different types of workouts. I go to the gym, I have my Peloton and weights at home, and then I also walk.
Yeah.
So depending on what's going on, it's one of those three,
Yeah.
right? So if I can't do the gym, or I'm feeling like I have my period and I'm exhausted, or I'm whatever, usually I'll just go for a nice nature walk,
Yeah.
light. I'm not power walking, but I'm moving. And it just, again, for me, it's not even just about the fitness for moving my body, it's keeping the commitment to myself and keeping the consistency going. Because then my body and my brain starts to know, okay, we always have an option. There's never an or game, it's always an and game. I can do this, or like, and this, and this, and this. I just get to choose which one is for me today.
Exactly. No, and I think that's why I think it's so powerful just to have those kind of like, it's like your plan B, like your backup plan, right? Where
Yeah.
you have something that's like you can rotate it in at any time when you need it. And the only thing that you have to be cautious of, if you notice that you're rotating it in all the time versus the other, it could be a clear indicator that the other programming is just something that maybe it's not a good fit for you. Maybe it's not the right workout for you. Maybe you need to change that. Maybe you're really bored with it, whatever it is. So maybe you need to change that piece up, because you don't want it to become like your backup becomes your dominant programming, right? You want to be able to have something that is more balanced. Like I said, as one of the points today, it's like you want to have a balanced program. So just consider it. But I definitely want to encourage you to think about what those kinds of workouts could be. So um that is it for today. We're going to wrap up, but that today was all about, getting started on your fitness journey as someone who is a newbie. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, we do have our summer fast track program open for enrollment right now. So you can go to fitchicksacademy.com. You can learn more about both of our certifications, our fitness and nutrition expert certification, as well as our holistic nutrition health coaching certifications. Both of them are available for our summer fast track so that you can get started. You can start educating yourself, start growing, and change your own health journey. And then maybe when you graduate from the program, feel excited to be able to share that message with others and become a coach. So check it out, fitchicksacademy.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you again next week for Fit Chicks Chat. Bye, everyone.
Bye.